Hi, I get to sit because I'm much older than the average age, except for that gentleman there. Yeah, so I always like Slush because it's always very cool, very dark. In my business, if we do things in the dark, we might get sued. Because I work in a very heavily regulated environment. Loi is totally the other end, so I think it's good that we can chat. I also moonlight as a, not moonlight, I work as an executive advisor in Kyber as well, so I know Loi very well. Speaking of regulation, I think regulation is probably causing this low in attendance in crypto session here. You know, people think market is bad. I saw someone in the crowd. Who thinks the market is bad right now in crypto? Not that many, just like me, right? It's just anchoring bias, right? You're looking at Bitcoin at 90,000, that's bad. But if you buy Ether 2 days ago at 168, you make 25% today. So talking about regulation, Loi, what do you think Kyber's role in this future of money?
Well, so I think at Kyber, right, we are working towards a future in which every financial activities is going to be fully transparent in a decentralized environment. So what that means is, everything, like you can track everything on the blockchain and verify it. And if there is anything happening, people can actually find the person who actually caused that incident. Yeah, so I think it's a promising future.
So you're saying that crypto as a payment is better than cash?
Well, I mean, not only for payment, right, but also like for other financial activities like decentralized, like exchanges, lending, or like fund management. Everything can be can be put on the blockchain and can be run in a fully transparent environment. Yeah.
So nowadays, when I get out and talk about blockchain, people ask me what is going on with these ICO companies, right? How are they going to be in the next couple of years? How many percent do you think will stay on and do the work?
Right. So I think I've been working in this industry for around 5 years. When back then I was doing my PhD research at NUS, right? And back then there were a lot of people also launching new cryptocurrencies just based on Bitcoin, right? And not many people could last and actually launch their platform. I think it's the same that we are seeing in the ICO world right now. A lot of companies just launch ICO with very promising future, but what they found out later on is that it's very hard to deliver what they promise. So most of them couldn't deliver what they promises and run out of capital, and they have to shut down their platform. Yeah, so I think at the end of the day, the good ones will stay. And I guess around 90% of them was just dismissed.
Yeah, I certainly agree that a large percentage of them will be gone. 18 months ago, we started talking about Kyber, decentralized exchange in the McDonald's in Kallang. No one knows it's going to be still the ups and downs of the crypto. How many Sundays did you take off since?
I stopped counting.
So Loi works every Sunday, right? I mean, every Sunday I call him, he's in the office. So I guess it's all depend on how much you really put into the company, right? What do you think the on-chain governance looks like? Is that going to take over board meetings and all this?
I think a lot of people are pushing for decentralized governance as well, in a sense that you can run everything. Even governing the company, the protocol, using blockchain and smart contract. I think it's gonna take some time for it to be practical. All the companies will just use it, and all the shareholders or the stakeholders can do track whatever is going on at the management level. For now, I think only a few cryptocurrency companies that are using DAO structure, decentralized governance for their companies or for their project.
Yeah, hold a thought. If you have any questions around the governance, I think that's quite the important thing going forward, where I personally believe that distributed way of governance is the future. So lots of criticism on blockchain as a payment is the speed. What do you think that the outlook looks like? In 2 years, do we have a faster version, or how about Kyber? What's Kyber's plan on that?
Right. So I think why things are a bit slow on the blockchain is because everyone in the large network has to verify all the transaction. So this is like the key design of blockchain, right? You do not trust on any single entity, but you have to like rely on a large network of like thousands of different nodes, like people you don't even know. So that's why things are a bit slow on Bitcoin and on Ethereum as well. So on Ethereum, currently you have like to wait for around 15 seconds in order to know whether your transaction is successful or not, right? So Kyber is running fully on Ethereum at the moment. But I think it's promising that a lot of people are working to address the scalability and the performance of public blockchain. Even at Kyber, we are also working on our own solution to deliver a much faster and high performance and much more scalable blockchain. So you can expect the delay of 1 to 2 seconds for every of the transaction on the blockchain.
For a normal person, how do you actually get from 15 seconds to much faster to compete with the traditional payment systems?
Right. So I think the idea here is to sort of like reduce the amount of information that every node in the network, every computer in the network has to process. It's just impossible to do for any one computer, right? To store the entire blockchain of like Bitcoin or Ethereum. Currently, it may require something like 1 terabyte of data that you have to download from the internet if you want to sync up with all the blockchain. So the way that we do is we use a sharding technique that a lot of other companies are using, like Google has it, Facebook has it, and we apply this sharding technique to the public blockchain so that you only need to care some certain piece of information that are relevant to you or that you are assigned to, and you don't have to download everything on the blockchain.
So sharding, right? So how about the cost? How much does it cost to, I know there's a gas cost to pump prices through your Kyber network, right? So how much does it cost you every day to just keep maintaining the business like that?
So I think currently we have to spend from 1 to 2 Ether, which is around $500 per day to maintain the platform. Yeah.
Okay, so in that aspect, the gas fees is quite expensive, but then you do not have the centralized platform, which takes very expensive to build. Okay, so there's a question from the crowd. I'll just take one of that first. What is the most challenging aspect of your business?
I think this is not only for Kyber, but for most of other cryptocurrency and blockchain companies. We have to educate the users because most users, they are still not familiar to decentralized and cryptocurrency and blockchain, and they don't even know what are the benefits that blockchain and cryptocurrency can bring to them. So most of them want to have username, password, and when they forgot the password, they can come to someone and ask for hey, can you please recover my password? But you cannot do that in cryptocurrency. You cannot do that in public blockchain. You have to keep your own money. You have to secure everything. I know it sounds scary, but just think about it for a second, right? It's much better for your future if you can be sure that you have your money with you all the time, and no one can steal it from you.
So I know blockchain, you have Bitcoin, and then you have all these protocols trying to build the base layer, and then you have the DApps like us, right? What do you think that future terrain looks like? My personal opinion, there's going to be a lot of M&A going on, but what do you think?
So a lot of people are considering that blockchain and public blockchain are the next phase of the internet. And if you just think about it for a second, right? The definition of internet is the network of networks. So that means there's no single network that covers everything. So I think it's the same for blockchain. There's no single blockchain that can do everything for everyone.
So you think it's going to be very fragmented?
Right. So in the future, there are going to be a lot of different blockchains, and each of them will try to address some certain, business, some certain concern, and that future is going to be fragmented. Okay. So what Kyber and a few other major blockchain companies are doing is to address this problem, right? We want to make it like seamless for the users so that they can, send transaction from one platform to a different one easily without like, worrying about like where they are, like which blockchain that they are interacting to, which application that they are talking to, and things like that. Yeah, so that will improve the user experience a lot.
So, we can do some tips from you. We don't name names here, but if you want to invest your money, would you put in like traditional coins? Do you put in the protocol, or do you put in the DApps?
This is a very hard question.
Do you see, so traditionally, not traditionally, the protocols has a lot of cap built in, right? I mean, billions of market cap. And then the DApps is much smaller. So what do you think? Do you think that will combine in the future to do business? And
So I think if you look at Facebook, right? If Facebook was to be built on the blockchain, then people would just call it a DApp. But look at the valuation of Facebook today. I think at the end of the day, the users are the key. So if you can get all the users, then your valuation will just increase, and more people will have more demand for your coin. So I think in the future, decentralized application will play more important role than public infrastructure protocols like Ethereum and Bitcoin.
so when I went to these meetings with Kyber, I think community building is probably the most, is the highest priority in your list, right? What is Kyber's plan in doing that?
So in terms of community, there are two different communities that Kyber are focusing on. The first one is the mainstream communities, right? So we have like to educate them about blockchain, about cryptocurrency, about decentralized applications, and basically like just tell them like what are the benefits and why is it better, right? And the other community that we really we have been spending a lot of resources on is the mainstream developer community, because I think we need more people to build applications. And I think if we want to see the next Facebook or the next Twitter on the blockchain, then we need more developers to build good application to serve the users.
So Kyber is playing a part for this ecosystem to do better, right? So I see community in terms of users, community in terms of developers, and I think this question now from the public is the community of liquidity provider, right? How's Kyber's role, and what do you think is the suggestion you can have for everyone that how do we build the crypto market higher in terms of liquidity?
Right. So in case you don't know, at Kyber we are building the on-chain liquidity protocol so that we can provide liquidity to all the decentralized applications, be it decentralized chains, fund management, lending protocols, and what we want to do is we want to make it seamless for all these applications to be launched, because I think liquidity is a key concern for all these applications. So if there is already some existing liquidity pool that all these applications can tap into and use it for their own liquidity need, then I think it's much easier for them to focus on user onboarding, user protection, and user experience as well. Yeah.
So how many liquidity provider plugs into Kyber now?
Currently, we have around 10 different liquidity providers, but we are working on opening up the platform so that anyone can just if you have your own coin, then you can just be the liquidity provider for your coin.
Okay. And any thoughts on security and utility tokens? I think that's the topic that I think people talk about quite a lot. Is Kyber plan to list security tokens or?
I think security tokens is a hot topic at the moment, and I think it's still early to see whether people would prefer security token or utility token. But we do see the trend that more people are talking about security token, and working with regulators to see what are the compliance and regulation concerns that they have to address in order to offer and to trade security tokens. I think in Singapore recently, MAS also released information about all the RMO licenses, right? That businesses need to apply in order to support trading security tokens. So Kyber is looking at that as well, and I think in the future we can certainly like support security token in a decentralized environment.
Any question from the crowd that doesn't have a Slido? Okay, I'll continue then. What about the regulation around the security token? What does it need? Just a lawyer approval or?
I think it's there are a lot of concerns, right? Like first of all, the regulation is not clear as well. Like whether like the mainstream users can trade security token or not, I'm not sure. And like who can actually like offer to launch to issue security tokens. Yeah, so I think currently there are a lot of like uncertainty. Yeah.
Okay. I think one of Kyber's strength is really to have really strong smart contract experts, and I'm sure people that look to start some blockchain project would want to hire some of these people. So, what is your advice to the companies that want to decentralize some of their businesses?
I think. Well, I'm not sure like, if people really want to decentralize their businesses, right? Because I think they have like to take into account of like what are the components that they can really decentralize without affecting their business, and whether like it makes sense to decentralize it at all, right? So blockchain is good in a sense that it allows people to work with each other without trusting each other. So if you have like, for example, right, for decentralized changes, you can still trade without relying on any trusted party, right, to keep or secure your asset. I think that's a good use case. And I think previously we also have like a couple of speakers that talk about like decentralized digital asset as well. I think which is also a good use case.
Okay, time's run up. Last chance. Any questions? Thank you, everyone. Thanks, Loi.
Thank you.